Okay, so let's start seated. And if you like, you can sit on a bolster, you can sit on a cushion, but make sure that you're nice and upright and the hips are nice and relaxed. And we're in butterfly pose with the soles of the feet together. And let's take our left hand onto our heart space, right hand onto our belly, because we're going to do some diaphragmatic breathing here. Help my dad a little bit with his diaphragmatic breath. So, Dad, left hand on heart, right hand on your belly. All right, sit nice and tall, but relaxed. We want to be comfortable here, not rigid. We want to have a firm seat, but yet relaxed. So maybe you choose to close the eyes. And as you breathe out, just relax a little bit more. Any tightness or tension in the feet, the knees, the legs. And breathing out, letting go a little bit more tension into the hips, the pelvis, the lower back. And breathing out, long, slow, deep breath, just letting all the thoughts of your day go and be completely present here. So let's start tuning into our breathing rhythm, breathing in and out of equal length through the nostrils. So breathing in and breathing out. Try and count the breath as a 4 count in and a 4 count out. And think of the breath traveling from the belly to the diaphragm to the chest. And as you breathe out, chest deflates, diaphragm lowers, and belly deflates. So find that rhythm, 4 counts in, 4 counts out. Really try and use the entire diaphragmatic breathing here. And imagine the diaphragm raising up underneath the rib cage on your exhale breath and lowering down to the belly on your inhale breath. So the diaphragm is like this kind of arc that sits under the rib cage here. So you can feel it rising up when you breathe out. And you can feel it rising down as you breathe in. So when the lungs fill with air, they push the diaphragm downwards towards the belly. When the lungs deflate of air, the diaphragm settles back into its space. And really focusing on your breath now. Slow, rhythmic, not forcing the breath, just let it happen naturally. Just a couple more. And then nice and slowly release the hands to the outer knees. Just lift the knees together and just place the soles of the feet down in front of you. And you can start to rest the chest and the belly down over the thighs, letting the head relax between the knees and just really soften through the facial expression here. Soften through the head and the neck, relaxing into the spine. And let's unroll and come to tabletop position on your mat. So if you wish to keep warm for the moment, just keep loads of clothes on, socks on. So bringing yourself into tabletop, just sway the hips from side to side. This practice is hips, pelvis, and lower back. So we want to be completely aware of this section of the body. So hips, pelvis, and the lower back. So just move the hips from side to side, and then you can introduce a little circle. So you can bring the hips backwards and forwards as you just circle around. If you're on a hard surface, might be worth just padding out those knees underneath you. So find that breath here, breathing it out as you go back, breathing in as you come forward. Slow, steady movements, really just feeling what's going on in that area. And then circling the other way if you haven't already. And then just releasing back to kneeling. So coming off of the wrists, if kneeling's comfortable for you, you can always bring the feet out in front, but just circle through the wrists. Gently circle one way and the other. And then come back into that tabletop position. So here we want to think about the pelvis tilting anterior and posterior tilts. So that's basically our cat and cow. So we lift the sit bones up, we drop the belly, we open up through the heart, looking forward. And when we breathe out, we draw the belly up towards the spine. And you curl the tailbone underneath. So looking forward, you're tilting the pelvis and then rounding. So again, being completely aware of that whole area of the torso, the core, the lower back, the hips, and the pelvis. And just gently bringing the right foot forward. Again, you can choose to pad out that back knee, but here we're just gently circling forwards and backwards, again, mobilizing into the hip. It's like we're just lubricating the joint of the hip and socket. And circle one way and the other. And if the fingers don't quite meet the mat, you can always just place them on blocks. Blocks fill the space between you and the mat. Sweep that right leg back behind you, and then the left leg comes forward. Again, circling forwards and back. Soft, gentle, nothing's forced. I want you to explore and discover your own hip joint. So this just gets a little bit of movement into the joints before we start working with them. So releasing back and getting your bolster or a block, your choice. I'm going to go bolster, a little bit more comfortable. So we're going to come down onto our backs and just place the bolster underneath the knees for a moment. Just allow the feet to rest. Allow the spine to soften into the mat. And then just relax the arms out by the side of you and just take a few deep breaths here as you just be aware again of that complete section of the pelvis, the lower back. Steady and slow breaths. And you can always return to that diaphragmatic breathing, filling the belly, the diaphragm, and the chest. Draw the knees in towards the chest and roll and massage out through the lower back. Really feel that the lower back's kind of really connected in towards the mat. You're spreading out the waist, the rib cage, and the shoulder blades underneath you, and the neck and face are nice and soft. So we're going to come into a supported bridge for our first posture, which we'll hold for 5 minutes. So bringing the bolster, or as I say, you can use the block underneath your pelvis. So make sure that you're nestling yourself in and making yourself comfortable here. Soles of the feet are down onto the floor and the knees are in line with the feet and in line with the hips. You might wish to take the arms back above the head in cactus. And really feel here that the weight, gravity is pulling you down into the prop. So as we're here for a number of minutes, allow the breath to be steady, equal. Allow the body to relax, release tension. Allow the mind to be focused on sensations or the breath. Reminding yourself on each breath out to let go just a little bit more. And for the last couple of minutes of the posture, you can extend the legs if you wish to into pontoon, or you can stay here in this supported bridge. When you're in pontoon, you're arcing over your prop. So a gentle and passive stretch for the hip flexors, the psoas, the intercostal muscles. Try to relax the buttocks. And think about creating space within the hip joint, relaxing all of the connective tissue, softening the whole body with gravity. Nice and slowly bring the arms back if they were above the head. Bring the feet back nice and steady. If you chose pontoon, take a moment just to realign the hips and pelvis back into bridge. And then press through the feet to lift the hips. And then you're just going to slide and roll the bolster or take the block away, releasing the spine down. And then again, returning back with the knees over the bolster or the cushion or taking the block away and just taking a moment to rest in Shavasana. Just feeling how the spine, the pelvis, and the hips respond to just coming back to neutral. And then gently bring the knees in towards the chest. Push the bolster away, and you can return to that little bit of swaying out from side to side. So here, just take your fingertips up onto the top of the knees and just guide the knees out to the sides. So the right knee goes out to the right, left knee goes out to the left, and you draw big circles with the kneecap. The whole leg and hip are soft and relaxed, and you're just guiding the knees outwards. And then change direction and draw them inwards. So notice how the hip socket then responds as you do that internal rotation. You might feel some clicks, some crunches, always softening to accommodate anything that your body tells you. Return back into center, widen the knees, preparing for happy baby, lifting the feet, and maybe you take hold of the outer edges of the feet, or you can hold onto the ankles or behind the thighs, but the feet are up towards the sky, gently flexing into the ankle. And just take a roll from side to side here. So you can just roll on the back, and then you want to bring yourself back up into center, lengthening the spine down, relaxing the shoulders, softening through the face and the neck. I'm going to stay here for a few minutes, so just find a comfortable place to hold. Try not to let the legs support themselves. You are supporting the legs by holding on to them, wherever that is, the foot, the ankle, the calf, or the thigh. And keep lengthening the tailbone down, so you're really drawing the entire spine to connect to the mat. You want to be able to feel the bowl of the pelvis, the sacrum connecting, the lower back, the waists, the rib cage, the shoulder blades, and the back of the head. Find those steady, slow, diaphragmatic breaths. Belly, diaphragm, chest on your inhale, chest, diaphragm, belly on your exhale. Remembering to breathe into those tight areas. Find stillness, working towards your edge. Being somewhere where you can feel something. Doing great. We're almost there for this hold. Try to relax the grip of your fingers if you're holding too tightly. Slowly release the heels down to the buttocks. And then extend the legs gently, slowly, all the way along the mat. You can kick your props out of the way, come all the way into neutral in Shavasana. So find that moment of reaction and response as the body comes back into neutral. So gently draw the right and the left knee back in, roll and massage out. This time we have a little bit of an IT band stretch. So place both soles down. We're going to roll over onto the left side. If you've got a block handy, that might be handy by the left thigh. And you want to be bringing your right foot over, placing it either on the block or on the mat. The closer that foot is towards the hip, the deeper that stretch is going to feel. So maybe just taking the heel towards the knee. Then you can start to open up the chest and the body. The arms might go out to the side if you really want to challenge yourself in this yin posture of the IT band stretch. The right hand can take hold of the left foot. So we're here for 3 minutes. We want to be opening up that right knee away from us and breathing into the right inner groin, right hip. Trying to relax into the torso. If you're really, really struggling to get the foot down onto the block or to the mat, you can simply put the foot on top of your inner thigh of your left leg and just open up the hip if you like. It's a different stretch, but you're kind of getting some benefit from there. So if you can bring it down, maybe that knee is dropping a little bit towards the mat. Depends on your hip sockets and your IT band here. The IT band runs all the way from the trochanter all the way down to the outer knee. Basically holds the leg together. Returning to that diaphragmatic breathing if you wish. Belly, diaphragm, chest on your inhale. Chest, diaphragm, belly on your exhale, relaxing muscles, connective tissue, glutes particularly. Nice and slowly, if you took hold of that underneath foot, release that, stretch out that left leg, and then roll back and stretch out the right leg. Back into neutral Shavasana. Notice your response. So we held that for about 3 minutes, drawing the knees in, roll and massage out, and of course, we have the opposite leg. So placing the soles of the feet down, rolling over onto the right hip. This time, left foot comes on the inside. And again, your left hand may take hold of your left foot. And you open the right arm out to the side. So technically, the torso is in a twist. And you're really working through this outer hip, outer IT band, big stretch down from the hip to the knee. Pressing that left knee away from you as much as is comfortable. Returning to the diaphragmatic breath. Trying to relax and release the connective tissue, the larger muscles of the glutes. Drawing the left hip downwards. Just a few more breaths here. Doing great. If you took hold of the foot, release the hand, release the foot all the way along the mat, and then release the left leg all the way along the mat. Come back into the neutral position of Shavasana. Allow both hips now to relax. Well done on that IT band stretch. It's not the easiest. And gently draw the knees in towards the chest. Start to roll and massage out a little bit through the spine once more. Feel really connected here through the lower back, the sacrum, and the pelvis. And we're going to come off of our backs. So rolling over. Take your time. We've been down there a while. So press yourself up. And maybe you turn sideways on to your mat this time for your wide leg forward fold. So here you might wish to use blocks to rest the head on, or of course if you've got pillows and bolsters, then you can make a little kind of protector there with your block supporting the bolster, and relax the head on your bolster there. And the legs don't have to be too wide. It's your comfortable place. And if you need to, you can always sit on a cushion. That alleviates the hips a little bit even more, or you can sit on a block. So sit nice and tall and think about the shoulders being in line with the hips. And just bend at the knee for a little bit. Just draw the toes up towards you. Relax through the back of the hamstrings there, and then just press the heels away, lifting the toes up towards the shins. And then relax the feet, bend the knees, and then relax the legs. Give the legs a little shake, give yourself a little wiggle through the buttocks, and start to fold forward from the hips until your biting point. And start to work from there, and then bringing yourself down either onto your fingertips, palms, or forearms, resting the head as you need, or just letting the head hang. You know, you can be completely here if you like. So really finding where is comfortable for you to stay. Hold the pose, find stillness, working towards that edge. And see if you can find that diaphragmatic breath here. Because we're in a gentle forward fold, it might be a little bit more challenging rather than sitting up or being led down on your back. So really try and find that diaphragmatic breath. Keep reminding yourself to let go even further with each breath out. Letting go of tightness, tension, gripping, relaxing all of the muscles. The connective tissue is soft. You're creating space within the joints. And you're completely present. Just a few more breaths here. Taking time to come out of the posture, bringing yourself up very, very slowly, keeping the chin towards the chest as you press away from the mat. Returning the shoulders in line with the hips, lengthening the spine, and sitting nice and tall. Lift the legs together, bring the knees together, and then press the outer knees as you press the knees inwards. And then opening up the left leg into deer pose. So you've got like this little square here, and you can bring your bolster by the side of you because we're going to start to twist around. So just find that little bit of mobilization into that hip so you can bring it forward and back. You want to just find it for yourself. And then we want to lift up and then turn the body over that left thigh, bringing the body down onto your bolster. And if you don't need the bolster, you can always go straight to the floor. That's okay too. Or you can rest the head on a block. Remember, the bolsters and the blocks are to fill the space between us and the mat. So here, just relax through that underneath glute, underneath hip. If you feel that something is pulling, then just release a little bit out of the twist. So if you bring the belly and the chest a little bit more back towards the thigh, that deepness might not be there. And again, if you're on the bolster, you're always compensating the depth of the posture. And start to lift the head, lift the hands. Again, taking time, unrolling. We're just going to take a counter stretch. So maybe pulling in that back heel and then pulling yourself towards the back leg. So this knee, this hip might just gently release and you just twist towards the back foot. Good. Open the chest up towards the thigh and then bring yourself back into center and change sides. So again, using bolsters, blocks as you need. And again, just finding that gentle rocking motion forward and backwards. So right hip is in front, right leg is in front. Then really twist the torso as much as you can and get the belly, the chest down over the thigh. Relax the body as you breathe out. And try to relax the feet, the knees, the legs here. And these deer poses are softer variations to the swan, or what we would call the pigeon in Hatha Yoga. Pigeons can be quite deep into the knee flexion. And as we're not really working with the knee on this practice, we want to really work with the hips. This one's just a little bit of a softer approach. Just noticing any differences from the right to the left and the left to the right. Returning to that diaphragmatic breathing. Notice if your breathing has changed because you may be crushing the belly or the chest down over the thighs or on the bolster. Long, deep breath out to relax and release a little bit more. Nice and slowly lifting the head, walking the hands back towards the body, bringing yourself upright, and again just turning yourself back around for that twist. The foot may be away from the body, or you may just need to pull it in, and just open the chest out. Nice little twist. You might feel something in the opposite hip and leg. And then gently release. Bring the legs in front of you. Just windscreen wiper those knees out to the side. So dropping the knees over. And then over to the other side. Once more, drop the knees. and over. This time we come into dragon pose. So you can use 2 blocks to support the body, and you can place the bolster or a blanket or a cushion underneath your back leg. So your right leg comes in front. And then that bolster or the blanket supports your thigh. You don't have to have it there. It's just quite nice. And then you can use those blocks on any of the levels. And you can bring the belly on the inside of that right thigh. So make sure that the knee is above the ankle and you haven't pulled the ankle back too much. That foot is firmly planted. So here you have a number of choices. You can bring blocks on the inside of the foot, and you can bring the body down, or you can stay upright. I'll let you make the decision to where you feel most comfortable. And we want to be relaxing into the hips here, really dropping the pelvis towards the earth. And the front foot, maybe toes turned outwards, heels are coming forward, or you might have the foot facing forward. We're here for 1 more minute. Find a steady breath. And slowly bring the hands back. Press yourself back. Just release into half splits just for a moment. Just to release into the hamstring. And then just rock it forward. Rock it back. Sweep that back leg behind you and then change legs. And taking those options that you took on the other side, using the props either on the inside or the outside of that thigh. And you can always come down onto the forearms if you feel comfortable, or you can stay upright. And we want to feel that the pelvis is getting heavier and heavier and sinking more and more into your bolsters or the earth. And a lot of these postures are right and left. They're not all symmetrical postures. The wide-legged forward fold was symmetrical. The bridge and pontoon was symmetrical. But when you start working with right and left, it's when you start to notice any kind of limitations or differences in the range of motion between the right and the left sides of the body. And we're not working with muscles. We're not looking at strength. We're looking at kind of the release of tightness and tension through the joints and the connective tissue within the hip socket and surrounding the lower back and the pelvis. Almost there. One more minute. Doing great work today. Try to relax as much as you can. Slowly come off. Blocks, hands come down. Gently press yourself back. Just release into half splits. And then rock forwards and rock back. And then release that left leg back behind you. Bring the bolster or your pillows down on the center here. Take a wide leg. We're going to take a wide leg child's pose. So if you need to, you can place blocks underneath the bolster, or you might just be able to fold forward, turning the cheek, and relax here just for a couple of minutes. Feel the release through the spine. If you feel that the ankles, the knees, and the hips are too compressed, too much flexion, just pop a blanket or another cushion between the knees. It's really allowing the body to melt into the bolster or cushions. Nice and slowly. Release the head, release the hands, just walk back, roll up through the spine, come into kneeling, slide the prop forward, and just sit upright for a moment. A few more postures left. So the last one on our backs, last couple, swing yourself around, make sure that you're nice and warm. And you've got blocks by the side of you or a cushion. Draw the knees back in towards you. And then just take the legs straight up to the sky for a moment. Relax the hands down by the side of the body. And if the hamstrings feel particularly tight here, just bend the knees and drop the thighs towards the chest. Take a soft gaze up towards the toes. Just feel the weight of the legs and feet bearing down into the hips here, and the hips and the pelvis are nicely spread out. And release the feet down. If you've got a bolster, you can use that by the side of you. You can use a block between the knees if that feels good. We're not squeezing the block, it's just held there. We're going to shift the hips over to the left side of your mat and drop the knees over to the right. So coming into a twist, but I want you to try and keep the knees nice and parallel here. That's the reason for the block. So try to keep the feet together, or at least resting on top of one another. Arms can come out to the side. And just try and hold that block in between the thighs. Again, you don't have to squeeze the block. It's just being held, trying to keep those knees nice and level. And now relax into the left side of your body, into that twist. Relax into the outer glute, outer hip, inner groin. Make sure the knees are being supported by the cushion or the bolster. And maybe you don't need that bolster and you can rest the knees all the way down to the mat. It's going to be a deeper stretch into the spine for a twist. And then nice and slowly just lift the block away, lift the knees up to the center, realign hips and pelvis into the center. And just take the feet wide, toes turn inwards, heels turn out, knees just rock in towards one another. So let's heel toe the feet into parallel. Let's lift those legs up once more, up to the sky. Hands are down by the hips, palms face down, and you take a soft gaze up towards the toes. And again, if the hamstrings are really pulling, soften at the knees and drop the thighs towards the chest. Soft face, soft neck. You've got that nice little orange between the chin and the chest. And release the feet down. Take the block, place that between the thighs, switch the bolster over to the other side. Shift the hips to the right, knees to the left. Again, holding that block in place, but not squeezing, and allowing, or at least trying to allow those knees to be together, resting on the bolster. And then arms can come out to the side once more. Breathing out and softening and releasing as much as you can through the weight of the legs, the weight of the block. Relaxing into the spinal twist, into the outer hip, the glute. Taking a deep breath in. Lift the knees back in towards the center. Take the block away. And then take that restorative rest with the legs out to the outer edges, dropping the knees in towards one another. So just taking note now of how you feel, how the hips, the inner groin, the inner thighs, the outer thighs, the glutes, the pelvis and the lower back feel. If there's something else that your body feels like it needs to go ahead and do, go ahead and do that. And then make your way into your Shavasana and make sure that you're nice and warm. So lying down on your backs, and you can always use the bolster underneath the knees. You can place something underneath the head. Now, as you lie back into your final relaxation in Shavasana, allowing a steady breath, letting the breath be natural, nothing is forced. When we work with the pelvis and the sacral region and the lower back, working with the Swadhisthana chakra or the sacral chakra, the area of creativity, fluidity, and also quite an emotional area. We hold a lot of emotions within the hips. And the word emotion comes from the Latin word emovere, or energy in motion. And just as this sacral chakra is about moving with grace and ease through life, it is also about emotional flow, or our ability to let inner storms arise, be seen, and move through us. When we are flooded with a riptide of feelings, we can allow them to take us for a ride. We can hopscotch over them, bury them deep, or disengage and deny them. These actions and reactions help make our feelings a permanent home in our body. Alternatively, we can acknowledge them, feel them, and accept them for what they are. Take a moment to ask, what are you holding on to, or what are you holding back from? When we give our psychological rivers tender attention in this way, they are set free back out into the flow. I'll leave you for a few moments of silence and let you know when it's time to come back around. Begin to deepen your breath, bringing awareness back into your surroundings, onto your mat and into the body by bringing soft and gentle movement to the hands, the feet, stretching, drawing the knees in, whatever feels good. And just taking your time to return to seated. There is no rush, but if you return, let's return to butterfly pose with the soles of the feet together. Let's bring the hands into the heart center. And just sitting nice and tall and just checking in with you, checking in with how you feel mentally, physically, and of course, as we spoke about, the reading emotionally as well. And reminding yourself that each and every time you come to your mat, you are benefiting yourself for your own overall well-being. And always remember to thank your body for the work that it does for you each and every day on the mat and in daily life. And I thank you all. Namaste.